The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, North Las Vegas Fire Department, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37057. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting on the face of the front bumper, there are dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Just inside that location, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Located in the center, you'll find 2 paddle latches which gain access to the front hose storage location and your unit identifier 58. On the passenger side, on top of the bumper extension, is where you'll find your mechanical siren, and on the driver's side is where you'll find the fire bell. As we move up onto the face of the cab, on the outer edge, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location houses the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Above the headlight structure is emergency warning lights forward facing. Directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the hood release for gaining access into the hood area. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And on the outer edge of the A-pillar is where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Located in the very center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find emergency warning light bars. This is a split light bar, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. Above that, you'll find emergency warning lights on the front bucket area. And then also at the very top, you're going to find your master stream devices. There are 2 located, one fitted with a smoothbore and the other with a fog nozzle. Opticom located in the upper portion of the top of the bucket area. Also, you'll find scene lights located in the very top section. Let's take a look at a full view of the apparatus. This is from the driver's side. Let's focus in on the cab section next. First, starting with the front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator Alcoa wheel. You'll also find on the side of the bumper extension a side-facing emergency warning light. Right next to that warning light is where you'll find your shoreline power inlet. This is an auto eject plug. You'll also find an air inlet located just next to the front area of the bumper extension. And then also you'll find, as we previously mentioned, that side indicator marker light. You'll also find on the rear cab wall lower zone emergency warning lights. There are 2 grab handles for gaining access inside. They're easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also keyed locks. Right next to that is where you'll find the grab handle for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move up to the very top section, you'll also find a side-facing emergency warning light in between the driver and rear cab area, and then also on the rear portion, a side-facing scene light. As we move to the very top section of the bucket area, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights in between the Pierce logo, and then also a pole light on the back section of the bucket. As we move to the rear section of the cab wall, you'll find an additional storage location here. This is for backboard or long-handled tool storage. 2 D-handle gain you access into this space. At the very top section of the pump panel are your cross lays. We'll go over those in a moment. Also at the very top section, a side-facing adjustable scene light. You'll also find your PA audible speaker system located in the very top section for communicating with people inside the fire bucket. At the very bottom section, a pull-out and tilt-out tray. As we move to the rear section of the body area, you're going to find 2 folding wheel chocks in front of the rear axle, and to the rear of the axle, you'll find your stabilizer pads. You'll also find emergency warning lights. There are 3 located here. These are part of the lower zone emergency warning system. As we move up to the top, just over the stabilizer, you'll find stabilizer cameras. And then as we move to the very rear section, you'll find an additional side-facing scene light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start first on the sides, where you'll find marker turn indicator lights. These are on the passenger and driver side. Also your tail light housing a emergency warning light, brake light, turn, and reverse light. As we move up to the top, you'll also find emergency warning light and scene lights located in the upper section of the rear body area. As we move toward the center section of the vehicle, on the very top section here is where you'll find your traffic advisor. Just above the traffic advisor is where you'll find a recessed backup camera. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, full view here. And then we'll focus in on the rear section or body section at the rear. Same configuration and layout as you have on the driver's side. As we move to the mid-section where your pump panel is located, we'll cover some of this in detail in a few moments. And then also to the cab section, same configuration and layout. Let's go back to some close-ups of the front bumper area where you'll find on the driver's side, shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject plug and it is 20 amp. Also right next to it on the body itself is where you'll find your air inlet. Here's a close-up of the shoreline inlet. Once again, 20 amp auto eject. And then a close-up of the air inlet. Let's go ahead and go inside the cab area. This is on the driver's side. When the door has been opened, it will trigger the step to deploy. Let's go ahead and move now inside the cab area, but first let's start with the door panel. Affixed to door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and a grab handle. As we move to the base of the seat area is where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, the auto charge system will activate, indicating the status level of the battery. Also, as we move to about the right ankle, you'll find this yellow placard indicating for your department the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, all of the fluid capacities for each device, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard area, you'll find an air horn foot pedal and also mechanical siren foot pedal. Up just above about the left knee, you'll find your command zone, engine ABS diagnostic port, and also SRS transmission diagnostic port. There are a few switches here. First, ABS diagnostics, regen inhibit, and also DPF regen switch. Let's move to the dash area. We'll identify a few items within the dash, first starting on the left with your four-way flasher or hazard lights, ignition, and start. Also a switch labeled EM, which stands for emergency master, headlights, and also a panel light, which brightens or dims lights within preview of the operator. Just below that, you'll find a red quarter turn, which is your master battery switch. On the opposite side of the steering column, the high idle indicator and also switch. As we move to the gauges, you'll find your transmission oil def level and water temp on the left side of the cluster. On the right, front and rear air, volts, and fuel. Located in the center, your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and below with tally lights and information above the speedometer and tachometer. Just a general view as we look to the right of the operator. Let's start first with your pull to apply your system parking brake. It is the yellow diamond located on the left. This is for your rear service brakes. Also your command zone located in the center. Tremendous amount of information. Please see the owner's manual for more information. Push button digital readout for your Allison transmission pad. Also some switches here for aerial master, aerial PTO, generator PTO, platform leveling, front bucket, and stabilizer camera. Informational note, pump and drive, and then also some rocker switches for engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high, the retarder on or off, auto retarder apply, bell, and front wheel lock. As we move to the top section, you'll find off-road traction, mirror heat, a siren brake for your mechanical siren, and load manager. This is your pump shift located at the very bottom. There are instructions for its operations from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump for pump operations prior to leaving the cab. We also have some additional caution information regarding the use of your retarder in the lower section. As we move to the top, you'll find mirror controls for the left and right mirror. As we go ahead and move to the forward section of this area, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and also defrost. As we look overhead of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard on the left indicating the height of the vehicle, 12 feet 5 inches, length of the vehicle, 47 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating, 81,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments that may alter any of these, please update this placard. As we move to the right, you'll find membrane switches. These are going to control your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, high beam flash, and your opticom. Moving just slightly to the right, additional set of switches for your front flood, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, rear scene, driver scene, passenger scene, driver's side pole flood, and passenger side pole flood. When any of these switches have been depressed, the light will illuminate green around indicating the switch is active. Also, your electronic siren and PA speaker system and traffic advisor control modules are located in the upper portion. As we move to the center, you'll find a warning regarding do not move your apparatus when this light is on or flashing and indicates you have a compartment or door ajar. You'll also find in the very front section here, this is your seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green they're in the seat and belted. You'll also find in the front section, difficult to see in this is your collision avoidance system. As we move down behind the driver's seat, you'll find the manual handle for cab tilt, also backup speaker with volume control on the face. Let's move exterior now to the front axle where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator, Alcoa wheel, and also a Michelin tire. As we move to the rear section of the cab area, let's first start with the door panel where you'll find safety and warning placard information affixed to the panel, door lock and latch combination, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we look overhead in the cab area, you'll find push on or off, white or red lens lights, and then also your headset system. There are two rear-facing seats in the forward section and two forward section seats in the rear portion of the wall. Also in the side compartment, you'll find LED lighting, adjustable shelf, and a roll-up compartment door. Here's a close-up here of the forward-facing seats. Underneath those on the pedestal area, you have additional storage location. As we move just in front of this location to the rear portion of the engine, you'll find a lift-in turn latch will gain you access for your daily checks. It's going to be right below this 12-volt access for USB. This is for your daily checks for the oil and transmission. Let's move now to the exterior of the pump panel area on the driver's side. First, right up against the cab wall, long-handled storage and backboard storage. As we move now to the crosslay area, let's start in the very top section. You do have two crosslays, crosslay 1, crosslay 2, and crosslay, which is a 2.5 inch. These are all foam capable. Just above that, you'll find your intercom system. This is passive, and it does have a push-to-talk and volume control. You'll also find pump gauges. This is your master pump intake gauge on the left. On the right, your master pump discharge gauge on the right. In between the two of those is the vacuum and test gauge pressures. These are currently plugged, and these are utilized for testing purposes. As we move down, we have your Husky foam system specifications and instructions. Also, we have clearly identified, color-coded your crosslays and also the passenger number 2 discharge, which is a 2.5 inch. This is your Husky foam system module in the red area, control module, and to the right, your foam system level indicating tank A. As we move to the right, we have some rocker switches here that control various lights. As we move further to the right, you'll find an aerial shutoff switch. And then just beneath that, you'll find a check engine, check transmission, and also those are yellow indicators for the tally lights. We do have a red stop engine tally light indicator. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find the wheel valve, which controls your aerial discharge, and then also an aerial discharge for foam. As we move to the very top section, you'll also find a panel light switch. In the very top section of this area, you're also going to find an OK to pump indicator. As we move from this just downward, you're going to find the driver's side number 1 and passenger side number 4. Those are both 2.5 inch discharge. Water tank level indicator. Also the engine cooler located at the very top. That's a twist, not a pull. Tank to pump. And then also tank fill and recirculating line. At the bottom of the pressure throttle governor, you'll find a black round speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to allow you to dampen or brighten the sound. Also, you'll find your front discharge, which is foam capable, and then also your large diameter passenger side discharge. That's a wheel valve located on this side, and the number 3 driver's side discharge. Just to the right, you'll find the two 2.5 discharges located here on the pump panel on the driver's side. Just a couple items I'd like to cover. First, warning placard indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. Your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over that in just a few moments. We have a close-up of that. And then to the right, we have a pressure warning hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening those caps. To the right, you'll find your main pump drain, and then further to the right, you'll find your manual pump shift. As we move downward from this location, where the Pierce logo American flag eagle, this is your large diameter driver's side pump inlet. As we move to the right, warning placard indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. And then also warning, fall. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move down, you'll find your auxiliary foam function inlet or outlet. As we move down, you'll also find the watcher's placard indicating that you have a 1,500 GPM capacity pump. Also, the minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. As we move further to the right, you'll find a locally controlled 2.5-inch female ball valve auxiliary suction inlet. As we move down, color-coded labeled discharge drains, and then also a danger placard indicating that the ladder is non-insulated and this is an electrocution hazard. As we move to the pan door located on the far right side of the pump panel, let's take a look inside. You'll find this yellow handle, which matches the description here on the back side of the door. This is for foam operations or fill operations for your foam system. This is a pull-out tray which also extends. It is connected to the do not move your apparatus if it's not stored properly. Also, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. This is just under the running board. Let's go back to those placards. First of all, close up 1,500 GPM on the Watrous. Also, minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM at that test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPMs at that test pressure. We also have the 5-digit job number in the upper left-hand corner. As we move now just over the stabilizers, let's go inside this pan door compartment. First, we'll start on the upper vertical wall. This is your Harrison generator module. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find the air compressor to maintain brake pressure. When plugged into shoreline power, this will maintain brake pressure. Also, you'll find your electrical breaker box. This is for the continuous power. And then also you'll find on the vertical wall the auto charge system. Once again, when plugged into shoreline power, that will be active. We do have some crush injury warning placards because of the movement of the stabilizer. As we move into the compartment itself, at the very top section of the compartment, we'd like to point out a few items. First, starting at the very top, this is a 12-volt DC barrel style access. Inside the compartment, you're going to find adjustable shelves, LED lighting, and also in the very bottom section, a pull-out tray. Release mechanism, lower right side. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find your DEF fill location. It's the blue cap. Also an additional danger placard here regarding electrocution hazard. Once again, the ladder is non-insulated. Tool board located here. D-handle gains you access to the rear section of the tool board. Close-up of the DEF fill location, and right next to that is where you're going to find an SCBA bottle storage location with a retaining strap. The DEF tank is 4.5 US gallons. Once again, it's the blue cap. As we access the tool board, there is a lock mechanism on the hinge side. There is a release located in the very back of that. As we move to the rear axle, tandem axle, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheels. Here's a close-up of that electrocution hazard warning and danger placard. In between the two axles, you're going to find SCBA bottle storage location here for 2 additional SCBA bottles. And then as we move to the rear compartment, roll-up compartment door, dry deck material inside, let's take a look at the fill location for your ultra low sulfur diesel. It happens to be the silver cap. As we move to the next compartment, just to the rear of the rear axle, you'll find adjustable shelves, LED lighting, In the very top section of the compartment, you'll find a 12-volt DC, once again, barrel style access. As we move to the next compartment, at the very top section, this is your stabilizer camera. You'll also find some warning placards here indicating when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And then we also have a crush hazard warning. Because of the movement of that stabilizer, there is the possibility of crush. As we move down, you'll also find an inclinometer just in between the stairwell here. This is from front to rear. And as we now move around to the rear section of the apparatus, let's identify a few items within this area. First, let's start with your rear scene lights. This is a switch that activates or deactivates those scene lights. As we move to the compartments, you'll find your aerial stabilizer hazard information placard. As we move through the items within this area, this is the control for the stabilizers. We have a emergency stop. Right next to that, we have an override, which is a protected switch, and then also a power switch for the stabilizers, activation for turning on the stabilizers, a diagnostic USB interface for your maintenance team, and then also a tethered remote control. This is what controls your stabilizers. As we move to the upper section, traffic advisor and also backup camera. As we move inside the compartments, this is in the rear section of the torque box. This is your ladder storage and also long-handled tool storage. We have a 2-section 35, 16-foot roof, 14-foot 2-section, and a 10-foot folding. On the opposite side, 16-foot, 14-foot roof, and a 2-section 24-foot. I'd also like to point out some warning placards here regarding only direct pull for accessing these location points. And then also, once again, warning placard indicating pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure. Located directly in the rear, American flag Eagle Pierce logo. This is your aerial inlet. Just to that, you're going to find a gauge for the aerial inlet, and then also left to right for your inclinometer for aerial setup. Just inside the pan door is where you're going to find your aerial drain. As we look inside, this is going to be an 1.5-inch ball valve. Difficult to see and hear, but this is for draining your aerial device. As we move to the right, this is the hose chute for your hose lay. And then to the right, you'll also find a hose bed light. Let's take a general view here just of the rear section of the apparatus. We have stairs on both sides that pull down. They are connected to the do not move your apparatus if they are deployed. As we move around to the passenger side, this is your camera for your aerial stabilizer. Inside the compartment, once again, tri-deck material, LED lighting, and ventilation. In the top section of this compartment, it does house a 12-volt DC barrel style access. To the rear section of the axle on the body is where you'll find SCBA bottle storage for a single SCBA bottle. As we move in between the two axles, you'll find dual storage for SCBA bottles and also an emergency warning light just underneath the storage location. There's also a danger placard just as a reminder for electrocution hazard that the vehicle ladder is not insulated. Just in front of the rear axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage. I would like to point out extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle. As we move forward to this location, adjustable shelves, LED lighting. As we move to the very top section, once again, 12-volt DC barrel style. And as we move into the very bottom section, you'll find some additional holders here specialized with Velcro straps. As we move directly over the stabilizer, once again, additional storage at the very top section, your side-facing stabilizer camera. In this compartment, you'll also find a 20-amp outlet. As we move forward to this location to the pump panel area, let's start with the crosslays. Same configuration as you have on the passenger side. We have the 2.5-inch crosslay, the number 2, and the number 1. All of these are foam capable. As we move inside, you'll also find your relief valve for your intake. There are instructions for its operation on the placard. And then also we have a warning here, always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. Additional warning regarding pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure as we've previously mentioned. And then also we have 2 discharges on this side, which are 2.5-inch discharges, the number 4 and number 2. As we move down, you'll find also your large diameter passenger side discharge, which is the green in color. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. This is directly above the running board area. And then also you have access here to an additional compartment at the rear section of the cab for backboard storage or long-handled tool storage. As we move now into the cab area, let's start with the door panel and affix that door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. When the door has been opened, the stair will deploy automatically. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens, and then also your David Clark headset systems. As we move once again on this side, just a different perspective here. 2 forward-facing and 2 rear-facing seats are located here. Let's go ahead and move now into the officer space, where you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, the combination door lock and lock and latch, and then also electric window control grab handle. As we move to the forward section, your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. Please be cautious if mounting anything within this area and follow the instructions on mounting. Also, you'll find a glove box located in the upper portion of the dash area. As we move just to the left, you'll find additional 12-volt access via barrel style. We'll cover those in just a moment. But also a radio push-to-talk button. And as we move just to the left, you'll find a parking brake. This is a covered parking brake. Lift up to gain access to that parking brake, which is located in this image. Moving just to the left, once again, 12-volt and also USB access. I would like to point out a few of these red and white labels indicating that there is spare wiring behind the panel. It does provide the option number and also the wire and type of termination. These are scattered throughout the vehicle. Please don't remove these. These are for your maintenance team. As we move overhead in the dash area over the officer area, a few items here. Push on and off white or red lens lights. Also your AM/FM weather band radio. As we move directly behind the officer seat, you'll find a covered or protected area here. This is for your unit radio module. Let's go ahead and go exterior now. This is a 3-section heavy-duty aerial device. Let's start first with the pedestal. There is some warning and placard information, but let's identify a few items. At the very front section of the aerial pedestal is your intercom system, volume control, and also talk button. As we move down just from that location, you'll find the emergency stop push button. Also a few other buttons here regarding monitor selection, and then also you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information. It is a touchscreen and also function buttons. We have tip tracking lightings, under basket lighting, and aerial speed, and then also nozzle control in the very lower section. This is for stream or fog, right and left, and lower and raise. Ladder controls for extend, retract, right, left, and also raise and lower. On the hood of the pedestal area or cover is where you're going to find this placard indicating for your 100-foot aerial platform load chart for waterway dry and waterway charged. Also nozzle positions, and at the very bottom section you'll find an asterisk here regarding freezing conditions, and then also NFPA 1911 placard on the left side. We have some additional warning and danger placard located here on this area also. As we move to the base of the aerial device, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access into the pan door area, where in this compartment you're going to find aerial controls for extend, retract, right, left, and lower and raise. These are the aerial device manual controls. As we move to the main ladder, you'll find a 75-pound max compartment load inside this compartment, dry deck material, LED lighting. As we move back to the main aerial ladder itself, just a different view here of that box. There is also storage locations here for long-handled firefighting tools. As we move to the forward section of the bucket area, on the rear section of the bucket, you're going to find those pole lights and then also additional storage compartments. Let's go ahead and go inside the bucket area where the control mechanisms are located. General view here, let's start on the far right with your Pierce command zone. It does have a cover over it, tremendous amount of information at your fingertips, touchscreen, and also function buttons. You'll also find ladder controls. These can be moved. This is extend, retract, right, left, and lower and raise. As we move to the left side, you're going to find your under basket lights, and then also tip and tracking lights and rear basket lights. Selection for control for the left or right monitor, and then also nozzle control. As you move up to the very top, you'll find an emergency stop push button, then also an aerial speed for slow, normal, or fast. And then the protected switch is going to be able to enable or disable your manual basket leveling. And then there's a switch just to the right for up or down. You'll also find the tip of the ladder does have 120 volt access. There's a cover on that outlet. And then also a passive intercom system with volume control. We have two doors, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side forward section. We also have some warning placard information here regarding fall, and then also additional placards here regarding the waterway for waterway dry, waterway charged, and also nozzle positions for utilizing those monitors. In addition, freezing information down in the asterisk area. Couple of views here of the rear section of the bucket for storage locations, and then also your forward section showing the two monitors, one with a smoothbore nozzle, the other with a fog nozzle. Emergency warning lights and also downward pointing scene lights, downward spray, bumpers, and also scene lights. There's also an aerial drain located in the very top section. The next set of images with the aerial device deployed with the stabilizers out. Just as a reminder, when deploying this device, make sure that you utilize your stabilizer pads. As we move through some of the upper portion compartments here, these are the hatch compartments located in the bed area. One on the passenger, one on the driver's side, and then also the location for your top fill for water tank, and then also top fill location for your foam system tank. And as a reminder, warning, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also, your aerial hydraulic fill location does have a placard regarding the type of oil. Also, your Husky 12 foam system reservoir. This does have a top fill location and a visual sight gauge. Your Harrison hydraulic generator located on the right. Back to that hydraulic fill location, there is a shutoff in the lower section, and then also a visual sight gauge for its level of hydraulic fluid in the container. General view here of the Harrison generator. And then back forward now to the crosslay area. This is the 2.5 inch and then also the 2 1/2 inch. As we move to the cab area, I would like to point out there are a few warnings here regarding this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these two warning placards indicating that this is a non-walking surface. The next set of images are going to be of the cab tilted, along with images of the chassis area, first starting just underneath the front bumper area. And then as we move to the engine area, we'll cover a few items, and I point out a few items in this area. One of the ones I'd like to cover first is when the cab has been fully tilted, it's important to stow the safety bar in position. What I'd like to point out is this is purely a safety bar. You should not lower the cab onto this safety bar. Maintain equal hydraulic pressure on both the right and left cylinder. As we move to the chassis frame rail, we're on the driver's side. This is where you're going to find just below the batteries your termination points or jumper studs, and then also hydraulic fill location for the hydraulic system for tilting the cab. This will conclude the additional chassis photos. Just a quick video here of the emergency warning lights on, stabilizers deployed. Congratulations, North Las Vegas Fire Department, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37057. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.